Good day everyone. Today I'm excited to share with you my simple script that can automate Docker and traffic setup with proper Let's Encrypt certificate. Let's see how that works. Welcome back everyone. I have been using Docker for over 5 years now and traffic for over 4 years now. I've shared my setup through several of my guides on my website. Those are linked in the description below. The main one being this one linked right here. In addition, I have my GitHub repository, which many of you may be familiar with. On top of this, we have a Discord server. We literally help hundreds of people set up traffic instance on their stack. Combining all of these experiences, I've written this script that will automate many things in the workflow for you. What will this script do? It's going to set up Docker on your server if it doesn't already exist. Then it's going to set up socket proxy for you. It will create your Docker environment for you, which is all the required files, HTTP authentication, so you can put your applications behind an authentication layer. It's going to create the required files for and folders for traffic. Then it's going to set up traffic staging environment. It's going to pull the staging certificate from Let's Encrypt, and if this is successful, then it proceeds further to set up the real Let's Encrypt certificate. Now, if all of this is successful, the script will finish successfully, and it's going to give you a few pointers for next step as to where you can go from here. If you have Cloudflare and a domain name and have been struggling to set up traffic, then this script could help you set up a starter environment upon which you can continue to build your stack. So let's see how this works. Okay, here I have a temporary virtual private server on DigitalOcean that I created specifically for this tutorial. I am SSH'd into the server using my favorite SSH client, Mobaxterm. I downloaded the Auto-Traefik script and we're ready to roll. Let's see how the script works now. Okay, so if I do an ls, you can see that I have Auto-Traefik version 1 of the script downloaded. So we're gonna go bash autotraefik.sh, then hit enter. You should see some instructions as to what the script is supposed to do. As I said at the beginning of this video, it automates most of the steps required in setting up traffic. You will have to provide your domain name, Linux username, HTTP auth username, and HTTP auth password of your choice, Cloudflare email, Cloudflare global API key, and finally your host environment. Just a simple question which I will explain later. It does most of the checks that is needed, including if ports 80 and 443 are free on your server, if port forwarding is set up properly, and if the DNS records in Cloudflare are properly set up. If there's any mistakes, the script will error out. You can always restart the script as many times as you would like. This script does not delete anything from your server, so it should be pretty safe to use. If you already have a Docker data folder, as I have explained in my guides, it should just move it, rename the folder to something different so nothing is deleted. You can always go back and get what was moved or renamed to a different name. Okay, finally, I would like to stress that this script is best used on a fresh server. Just because you don't want any accidental damages and things like this. So I strongly recommend you to use this on a fresh server. And this is what I have here. So after reading this, just hit enter to continue. Few more disclaimers. Obviously, this is an automated script. I don't want to be held responsible for any damages it might cause. But once you download the script and you know how to read the script, you can see what it does. It's not rocket science. So basically the script was tested on Ubuntu, so I have not tested it on anything else. It may work on other environments, but again, I haven't tested it either. After you've read through the disclaimer, press Y to proceed And you have a few more prerequisites that you have to meet, as I said before, first. And I did provide reference documentations in case you want to know more about it. First, we need to have DNS records on Cloudflare pointing to the IP address of this server. A DNS A record with the IP address and a DNS CNAME record that refers to the root domain. I will pause right here to request you to subscribe to my channel. Also hit the like button and the notification bell so you get notified of new videos when they become available. Once you have that done, ensure that you have Cloudflare SSL setting in full mode, not the strict mode or anything else. And then finally, ensure that you have ports 80 and 443 forwarded to the server's internal IP address so the traffic, internet traffic, can reach from outside to your server, which is needed for the script to work. Once you've done all of this, hit Y and continue. Then we're going to start collecting some information for the script to work. Here we're going to use Simple-Homelab.com, which is a burner domain name I use in many of my tutorials. So then you'll have to hit Y to confirm. Then it's going to ask you for the username that you want to run your Docker containers as. It is not root. In this case, my username is Anand, so I'm going to use that and confirm that once again. Next, you're going to provide HTTP authentication username. We're going to use Anand again, and then you have to confirm that one more time. And then you're going to use a password for HTTP authentication as well. Let's say we're gonna use Auto-Traefik for this one. I hope I remember this. Then say yes to continue. And here's where you need your Cloudflare account details. I'm gonna enter my Cloudflare account username. I will blur it out so you guys don't see it. And then I have to confirm that. Then I need the Cloudflare global API key. Global API key. Now there is a way to use a scoped API token as well, which is more secure. But for the initial version of this guide and to keep it simple for newbies, I'm using the global API key. At some point in future, I might modify the script to ask for the scoped API token. And if you know how to set it up, you can provide that. And we can use the script more securely at that point. I already copied that into a Word document or Notepad, and I supplied that, and I'm going to confirm that. Then I spoke about your Docker environment. The question is, are you running this script on an unprivileged LXC container, which is on Proxmox? In this case, you would say yes, but typically the answer is going to be no. I'm running the script on a virtual private server on DigitalOcean, which is not an LXC environment, so I'm going to say no and hit confirm. Now, if you're okay with all the values above, just hit yes, and you will see that all of the values that you supplied have been written to a temporary file under /tmp/Auto-Traefik/Auto-Traefik constants. So I do this because if there are mistakes and you rerun the script, you don't have to keep retyping this information. So once everything is done, everything goes smoothly, and at the end, be sure to delete this file because you don't need it anymore. Let's hit continue. Now it's going to check if the username was found or not. In this case, my username Anand was valid and it says user found. Now we're going to run some checks that's going to require root privileges. So it is asking me for my password to elevate my privileges to a root, and that's done. So it's checking the domain resolution. Simple-Homelab resolves to the IP address of the server, which is good. It will check a subdomain as well, www. We have wildcard CNAME on our DNS record, so any subdomain should work. Right now, I'm just checking www.simplehomelab.com, which also resolves to the IP address of this server, which is also listed here right at the top. You can see it also checks for your current IP address. Ideally, these two should match. your IP address of the server and the IP address that's on the DNS record should match, and that's what the script is checking. And once these are qualified, at any point there is an error here, the script would error out. In this case, everything has been set up clearly, so and all of those checks have passed. The next check is the script checks if the Cloudflare proxy is enabled or disabled. We want it disabled or gray clouded. And if that is the case, then the IP addresses of the domain as well as the IP address of the current server should match. And so the DNS record is good. The same way for the wildcard or www.simplehomelab.com, the IP addresses should match, and they do. And so the DNS CNAME record is also good. You review this information and hit proceed, and it's going to continue. First, we're checking if Docker is installed on the system. It says Docker is already installed on the system, so it's just going to check for updates. If Docker was not installed, it's going to try to install Docker on your system. So let's wait for the installation or upgrade to complete. In this case, it's already the most recent version, so there shouldn't be any updates. Now you notice here that it's also designed to stop any existing containers from running. In a fresh environment, you shouldn't have any, but this is my testing environment, so there was a Docker container running. The script stopped the Docker container. Then it's going to install some essential packages. Once again, those essential packages are already installed on the server, so nothing to install here. We're going to review this information, hit Y to continue. Next, the script is going to check if ports 80 and 443 are open. In this case, I am running it on a DigitalOcean virtual private server, which is exposed to the internet, and UFW, which is the firewall, is not running. So the script passes on these checks. If you have port forwarding enabled on your router and the traffic on port 80 and 443 are set to forward to the IP address, internal IP address of the server, these checks should pass. So we're going to hit Y and continue. Once again, if anything fails at this point, the script is going to end and give you an error message that you can take and do something about. Okay, then we're checking to creating the Docker environment, Docker root folder. As I explained in all my guides, we're setting the proper ACL for all these folders. We're creating app data folder. We're creating a shared folder which will have the HT password file. Where the script will ask you for your time zone on many servers. I find time zones are not set properly, so here I'm in Europe and Zurich time zone. That is set. If you notice, it's also pulling in your user ID and password for the username you supplied before. All of these environmental variables are written to the .env file in your Docker root folder. You can see a copy of what will be written to your .env file, and if everything looks okay, we're going to hit Y and continue. Then it starts to create the Docker compose file here, creates the required networks. Then what you see here is that socket proxy container was started. There was already an existing orphan traffic container from my testing, whatever, it was removed. You shouldn't see this when you run the script on a fresh server. You can basically ignore that comment right here. Now it says socket proxy was started successfully. Should I proceed to install traffic or set up traffic? I say yes. And it's gonna run a few more checks. Port 8080, which is where traffic dashboard will be available. Port 443 we saw already. 80 is free on the server as well. What we checked before was port forwarding. What we're checking here is if the server has these ports available for traffic container to use. Now all these files above are created, the rules folder, the acme.json, TLS options file, middleware chains, all of the files that are required for traffic to work have been created. They have been set to the right permissions as well. So let's say yes to proceed. Then it's going to create some log files for traffic to use. If you encounter errors, this is the file that you would check. Next, it's checking for the Cloudflare email and the global API key. Obviously that's hidden right here because you don't want it to be public. Once that's been supplied, it's it pulls the traffic image. Traffic image is already pulled on the server. That's why you don't see it being pulled, but it's starting. Now it's going to run some checks, or let's say milestones in the traffic log file to ensure that the process is proceeding as it should proceed. The first step may be looking for something like obtaining bundled SAN certificate. It's a milestone. We hit that. Now it's waiting for the next few milestones. Okay, as I said, there are several milestones. The script went through successfully with the staging. So you can see the milestones here. Server validated our request. Acme validation was successful. So cleaning up DNS challenge. And then finally you see that the process was a success. Staging certificate was found. Here's the information from the staging certificate. So we have the certificate information displayed here. At this point, you can optionally check traffic.yourdomain.com, simplehomelab.com to see the traffic dashboard with staging certificate. Note that this is still a staging certificate, which means you would see the not secure warning. So you can take a pause, go check back and come back. It's up to you. So if I go here, traffic.simplehomelab.com, you're going to see, yes, as I said, the connection is not private. You can go in here. You're being asked for your HTTP authentication. If you remember, we set this to Anand and Auto-Traefik. And that should take you into your traffic dashboard. The traffic setup is good, but we're going to check the certificate to make sure that this is the right certificate here. Well, it is the right certificate. Once again, you see staging. Let's encrypt. So it's valid for 3 months. Everything is good. So it is working. So let's go back to the script and hit continue. Then what the script is going to do is move the log to staging log. So you have a record of what happened. It's going to create a blank log file. It's going to empty your acme.json file, then modify the Docker compose file to remove the staging environment. Then it's shutting down traffic, then restart traffic in the production environment. And we're going to repeat the same process as above. Look for those milestones and come back when the milestones are successful. So I'm going to give it a few minutes and come back to this video. We're back. It shouldn't take 15 minutes as the script says, probably 5 minutes if everything goes well. All the milestones were hit once again, but this time you see that when the check was successful, the certificate issuer is not Let's Encrypt staging anymore. It's the real Let's Encrypt server. And then since the process is successful, now you have traffic running with good certificates. The script will automatically change your log level for traffic from debug to info, which is good enough. Otherwise, your log's gonna grow big very fast. So info is good enough. Then it's restarting the traffic for this change to take effect. Okay, and you are being prompted once again to check if the real certificates are in place. So let's go back and open traffic.simplehomelab.com. You're being asked for those username and password again. And there you go. I do not want to save the password. So here you go. No, not secure warning this time. So that's a good sign. The connection is secure. Once again, a good sign. The certificate is valid. Again, a good sign. It's from real Let's Encrypt servers right now, and again valid for 3 months. So everything is set, traffic is working, you have basic authentication to get you started. Now let's press hit enter to continue. You're going to be given some next steps to follow. First, you can now safely enable proxy on Cloudflare, which is Orange Cloud your DNS records. If everything worked well, remember to delete the constants file that's linked or shown right here. Then what do you do after this? Basic authentication is a good first step, but you want to have a stronger authentication to protect your services. So I recommend Google OAuth or Authelia. I have guides on those two, and the links for those guides are shown here. You would also want to use Docker secrets. This is a starter setup, so I did not use Docker secrets for credentials like the Cloudflare global API key. I would put that in Docker secrets. So here's the link if you want to do that. And then finally, your setup is now ready to take on more applications. You can refer to my Docker Media Server guide for additional applications that you can set up using Docker. There's also another article that shows the 60 best Docker containers that you could add to your setup. So that is what the script does. It automates a lot of things for you. Obviously from here, maybe you can install additional apps. Maybe at some point I might consider adding Portainer as an option, so you have like a good setup ready to go in case you like using Portainer. I can make this a part of the script as well, but for now, this is straightforward. As long as the requirements are met, which is proper port forwarding on your router, proper DNS records on your Cloudflare, A name and C name records, both of them gray clouded, you have the right global API key, and your Cloudflare email is right, you should not see any issues. Of course, you also need to have your ports 80,443 free on the server. If it is a fresh install of a server, you should have no problems with these things. Your firewall needs to be down, so these ports can be reached outside, and after that you can go back and re-enable the firewall and everything. If you have been struggling with this process, you could use the script at least just to get that proof that, okay, yes, it is possible to have traffic with Let's Encrypt certificate on my server. You have that proof right now that you can use to build on. I still recommend using my guide and following the steps one at a time, because that's the best way to learn. That's how I learned. The script is just there just to support, or just when you need that little bit of motivation. Here you go, the script is available for you. That was it, everyone. Wasn't it easy? I do want to mention that this script is available only to the subscribers on my website, but rest assured that all the steps come directly from my traffic guide, and if you follow my traffic guide, you should have no problem setting up the server. If it doesn't work for you, then you can always reach out to us on our Discord server, and there are many wonderful people who will try to help you. I plan to continue to improve the script, so be sure to check out my website for updates so you download the latest version before you proceed. And if you have any trouble using the script, reach out to us using the exclusive Discord channel on our Discord server and we'll help you. I hope that this script comes in handy for you. See you in my next video.